Hi, this is Jeremy Kellett, Director of Recruiting here at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. This is the Oakley Podcast, Trucking Business and Family. This is episode 100. So on today's episode, to celebrate our 100th episode, we're going to go back to where we started with the very first one, and that is the Vice President of Bruce Oakley Incorporated, Mr. Justin Oakley, is going to hang out with us today. And we're going to answer some questions that our listeners sent in, and also talk about the future of Bruce Oakley, which I know all of you will be interested in hearing about. Also how the has affected us, and even maybe touch on how the Russians invading Ukraine is having an effect on Oakley. So a lot of good stuff coming up in this episode. I want y'all to stay with us as we get started. But first, let's do an Oakley update, sponsored by Aero Truck Sales. Keith Wilson at Aero Truck Sales in Springfield, Missouri is currently offering $1,000 off your first month's payment when you finance with transport funding, or $1,000 off the truck price if you bring your own financing. They're also discounting the cost of an extended warranty by $500. Aero Truck Sales has been a long-time partner with Oakley Trucking, and that's because they specialize in first-time truck buyers. They don't do any leases. They have the best used trucks money can buy because used trucks is all they do. They don't sell any new trucks. And the biggest reason that Aero and Oakley are partners is service after the sale. It is very important to us at Oakley that when we refer you to a company, that they are a good company with good people. They do what they say, and they understand our requirements. So give Keith a call at 573-216-6047 for a good used truck, and tell him you heard about it on the Oakley Podcast. So really the Oakley update today is I really just want to recognize one of our owner-operators that's been with us a long time. His name is Neil Teague. He's out of Harrison, Arkansas. He's been with us 26 years. And I remember when Neil started here, the day he started. He's just a real quiet guy that gets the job done. And I can't say enough about what he's done for Oakley and just staying with us through the good times and the bad times over 26 years. And Neil Teague, I want you to know you're very appreciated at Oakley Trucking. We thank you a lot for your service. Okay, let's get started and talk about a few things. What's going on, Justin? You doing okay today?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Man, do you remember? Okay, you did episode 1 with me. You were the brave soul that said, hey, I'll do it with you. Let's kick off this podcast. Well, and this is nothing against you, but I went back and listened to episode 1 the other day. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible, man.
It was a learning experience.
It was a learning. You did a good job. I mean, it was just, you could tell I didn't know what I was doing, so it was something different. But we have come a long ways since episode 1. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it was actually in March, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And things were a lot different 2 years ago. A lot of things have changed. We did that over in the old office. Since then we've moved in. I mean, it's just a lot of things have gone on since we've done episode 1, and I want to talk about some of that stuff too. But I also kind of want to get our listeners, an idea about Oakley too. I don't think I get a lot of questions sometimes. They don't understand the realm of Bruce Oakley. Like, a lot of just, we're the trucking company, but there's a lot more to it than that. So how many, can you kind of give us how many ports or how many locations we have about, and maybe where a lot of them are located?
Yeah, so there's, 18 to 20 total locations. Okay. A lot of those are different. They're not all river ports. 2 of those are bagging facilities. We've got our facility down at Reserve. Rosedale, Mississippi is Jantrans headquarters, so it's a shipyard, fleet, office area, but not necessarily a port. And all the rest of them would be river ports.
Yeah, and that's where, because that's the way you put it together. The river is a lot of the business that we do is off the river. So I mean that makes sense to get on. But you're in. I mean I've noticed. Along with the St. Louis, but even up into Illinois or Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm. Well, both. Yeah, we've got a place up in Cincinnati, the Ohio River, and then on the Illinois River, the upper end of the Illinois, we've got 2 facilities, Ottawa and Seneca, Illinois. Ottawa's dry products and Seneca's liquid fertilizer.
Okay, nice. what's the most recent one you've acquired?
The most recent thing is the bagging plant west of St. Louis in Forestdale, Missouri.
That's right.
Yeah. So kind of growing. It kind of goes hand in hand with BB, what we would do at BB a little bit, bagging similar products there, and we're kind of merge those two
What
things
made
together.
you step out and buy that facility? Just an opportunity, or you just see something?
Yeah, it was an opportunity. It was a direction that we wanted to go in terms of bagging more of our bulk commodity type products, kind of going a little bit further downstream. I didn't know exactly how that was going to look. It was just something that we wanted to do. And this company was called TNN. They were a customer of ours. And they, one of our guys and one of their guys kind of got to talking. And, hey, this could make sense. And they brought me into the fold, and I agreed with them, and there we go.
That's good.
So,
I mean, and that's a good acquisition there to kind of just keep going on down the line of the product that you get into where it actually ends up.
Exactly, going down the supply chain a little bit. So, we may import some product, put it in a barge in New Orleans, take it to St. Louis. It goes through our river terminal there. Oakley Trucking will truck it to the bagging plant. We'll bag it up, and truck it to, a distribution center, retail store somewhere. So,
nice.
Vertically integrated business.
That's the next thing. You want to be able to get straight to the customer. Yeah. I mean, the whole supply chain. So, I mean, I know we've got a lot of, it's just a lot of places that we have that we don't realize do a lot of things. Like the Oklahoma Port 33 is a great place. I mean, that's we've acquired like 8 years ago maybe, and it's been a great asset to Oakley, and fantastic. I mean, all different ways. We had St. Louis. We got a lot of promise for that one up there that we definitely could use some guys in that area. A little plug for Oakley Trucking. We need some help up there in St. Louis. If you're around there, we got opportunity there. So, and just I just think it's really neat the way that you and your dad and your grandpa have made this company over the years of it, dealing with barges and trucking. I mean, and the facilities of putting it all together and getting it to the customer is it's really good to see how that started, and then how you're taking it over and making it continue and keeping it going. Because I don't know about you, but I hear, and I know our listeners will be with me, but you hear a lot of places that the next generation takes over and it just goes to crap, Justin.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that, and and Dad's kind of picked on me a little bit in a joking way.
Yeah.
About that third generation. That's who messes it up.
Oh God, so, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's all right.
It is, and I'm just glad to see it's going good. What are the future stuff? I mean, as far as locations or expansions, y'all got anything you looking at?
Yeah, we've got some irons in the fire. I mean, I'm not at a point to name names or anything like that.
Right.
On the off chance a competitor might listen to the podcast.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
No, we're still looking around. We want to continue to grow. We're in a good spot to do it.
And that's, I mean, that takes a lot to be able to. You're wanting to invest back in
the company.
Company,
yeah,
and continue to grow it.
Yeah,
that means a lot to everybody. I think listening is because you just don't want. You don't want somebody just sitting on it and not progressing. Mm-hmm. I think that means a lot when you're looking to do different things and expand. So that means a lot to a lot of people. That's
good,
because you're touching a lot of people with it. I'm sure you know it and realize it every day. You're touching a lot of people out there, a lot of people's families and livelihoods and stuff. That it makes a big difference. The decisions that are made in this building.
Well, when you put it that way, it's a little intimidating.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. No, don't be.
Pressure.
It's good to put it in perspective. But no, man, it's this company is fun.
What's the done to us? I mean, I can go on about it in the trucking, but 2 years, man, we didn't have a clue when we did the first podcast of what all was about to happen. What's some of the effects it's had on us, on Bruce Oakley Incorporated?
In 2020, and with the shutdowns and all that, it was tough. we were running a lot of trucks, and then a lot of our customers were telling us, hey, we're shutting down, or their customer is shutting down, and so they don't have anything to ship, or whatever the case may be. So we're scratching and clawing, just trying to find loads to keep trucks busy. We're not even thinking about, what are we going to do to make money today? We're thinking about what are we doing to take care of drivers today. And it was tough. It was a lot of work on dispatch, but they've been through, maybe not to that extent, but they've been through hard times before, and they did their job and did fantastic. And I think they took care of drivers. And I think everyone's proud of them for that, and proud of the drivers for all the work that they did through the pandemic. It was tough with shippers and receivers. No one knew that much about at the time, and so it's unfortunate, but people looked at drivers as they're the ones that could be carrying it because they're going state to state and traveling around while everyone else is hiding out at home. And that was unfortunate. I hate that perception was out there, but it made it tough on everybody.
Yeah.
So we get through that, I think as good as we could, and you get to 2021 and the economy's opening back up, not just ours, but around the world, and there's demand for everything. And I think it caught almost everybody flat-footed. And the supply's not really there because so many places were shut down for periods of time, or throttled back if they weren't shut down, and commodities, goods, they're not there to meet the demand. So things have gotten wild. 2021 was pretty, and for us it was good. We had a good year in 2021,
right,
across the board, but it still had a lot of challenges in terms of labor, in terms of inflation. Just the supply chain has been stressed,
and still is.
Still
Here we
is.
are.
Yeah, it hasn't let up.
22. I mean, you think that's going to last all year?
Well, we've got a wild card, that I know we were going to discuss a little bit, so I don't want to jump ahead.
Okay.
But, this war that's got started.
Go ahead. I mean, how's Russia invading Ukraine? How's that affecting what's going on? And I, just so our listeners know, we're recording this podcast on Monday. What is today? March the
7th, I think.
7th. Okay, it's Monday, and it's coming out Wednesday. So just so you know, this is pretty fresh. It's not recorded a couple of weeks ago. But how is this Russian invasion? What's it having on Bruce Oakley Incorporated?
Well, I guess before I get into the business side of it, I mean, this is a humanitarian disaster that's going on, and there's people that are losing their lives, families getting separated. So I want to keep it into perspective before I just talk about business. This is it's a tragedy.
Very good point.
But on the business side of things, we were already talking about the pandemic and how supply of everything is just not keeping up with demand. And then you throw this wrench. So things are already stressed, and then you throw in this war. Well, just Ukraine on its own is a large wheat producer, big agricultural economy. They export a lot in the Black Sea into international markets. They can't really operate right now. So that takes product out of the international market. It's got to be resupplied from somewhere. So you've got more supply out. Demand is not backing off, so prices are going up still. Then Russia is a massive country. It's rich in natural resources. It exports almost all of those things. Oil is what's in the news, the energy, but they do a lot. They're a huge grain producer.
I was looking at, and of course this is just me not knowing much about it, but I actually pulled up Google Earth and looked at Russia.
It's
massive of the territory that it covers. And then I was looking at some of the countries that border it. Actually, what I was doing is my son has a friend that's in the Army, and he is in Lithuania, and I was looking to see where that was.
Yeah,
and
right
it's
there.
not very far. Yeah, and it just made me realize how huge Russia is. And I mean, it's massive if you look at it on Google Earth.
It's massive. So in addition to oil and grain, they're a huge steel producer and exporter. Fertilizer, they're huge. Potash, all the nitrogen products, phosphate, they export all that, amongst other things. Coal. the prices for all of these things have gone up hugely. Coal is something that no one really talks about as much anymore, green energy and all this. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, the price of coal has more than doubled in 30 or 40 days, driven by, this situation.
Just because they think supply is going to slow down, I guess, or,
Well, yeah, you take that Russian coal kind of out of the market. People don't want to do business with Russia.
Gotcha.
And then a lot of governments are on top of that saying, you can't do business with Russia with sanctions, removing them from SWIFT, so even if you wanted to do business with them on the financial side of it, you can't complete the transaction. So it's having ripple effects across the board. And it's taken this, we were already experiencing inflation, and now you put this on top of it, and people are going to feel it. I think it's going to be, so that goes back to your question earlier, is this, before we start talking about the war, is this going to continue throughout the year? I don't know, but I think this war is a catalyst that could make, this supply stuff continue throughout the year.
Not going to help things.
It's not going to help things.
Yeah, that's unfortunate too, because you kind of felt like we were starting to gain a little bit of ground, now that the other issues that I'm hesitant to say COVID because we actually got censored on YouTube. We couldn't promote it when we said on the deal, but anyway, we'll cut that out too, guys. But anyway, I was going to say we were just getting past that, and things were getting a little bit better. So I was really looking forward to this year. And we're still having supply chain issues for sure, but now with this Russian deal going on, you just think that, my gosh, that's just going to make it even worse. But
I found out about 5 minutes before sitting down with you. We're supposed to be loading right now a cargo of urea out of Nigeria. And urea today is about hitting all-time highs, and the producer there in Nigeria is getting force majeured by their natural gas supplier. You need natural gas to produce nitrogen fertilizer. Natural gas has gone crazy. Prices were already high in Russia, in Europe, and now the Russia stuff is making that even worse. So their natural gas suppliers having difficulties supplying the urea plant. The urea plant's telling us we're not going to be able to load your ship.
Really?
Well, we kind of need that product for, the spring application season coming up. So just the ripple effects of all this are far and wide. I know what it's doing to us, but I can't even imagine what it's doing to other folks throughout the world.
So now, 5 minutes before you came in here, you got the possibility of being short on selling urea or, getting it over here.
I think we'll find some more somewhere, but it's tough.
Yeah.
It's creating some headaches.
I bet it is. You just... a lot of our listeners, I don't think, realize that you do that kind of business from other countries. So you buy a lot of that product from other countries. I guess you got to because that's where it's made.
We make a lot of that stuff here, but we just don't have the resources to supply all of our fertilizer demand, especially on phosphates and potash. We can build more nitrogen production in the States, but we don't have it today, so we have to import.
Yeah. How many of those ships, when you say ship, you're talking about one of them, a vessel?
Yeah. A Panamax, Handymax ship, it's, typically it's going to be to 40 to 60,000 metric tons.
Wow. That's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
And then that comes over on a vessel to typically what, New Orleans?
New Orleans for us, yeah. That's where we would bring one.
And then it's unloaded on barges there?
Yeah, there's floating clamshell cranes. They will unload the ship, put the product into barges, and then we'll take our barges up to the river terminals, go into storage, and get ready to ship out on a truck or rail car.
Now you own, Bruce Oakley owns how many barges you think?
About 200 barges.
About 200?
Yeah.
So
that's good. We like that business. It's strategic for us, but we're still a net buyer of barge freight. We don't have enough barges to cover our needs.
Gotcha.
It's a little bit different than the truck side of the business.
I gotcha. Got to use them.
Yep.
Use other outside.
Yep.
Nice. Hey, I had just to get off of that stuff a little bit. had a couple of questions from our listeners that wanted to ask you. One thing was, you know, a lot of our listeners and people that don't know Oakley, I guess, won't know this, but we moved from the old office, which had been there a long time, especially the front half of it, front quarter of it had been there a long time.
Mid-late 70s.
Was it?
Yeah.
And then we just kept adding on 50 foot, 50 foot, 50 foot. We ran out of room. You built this great office over here. What's going to happen with the old office? We got any, you know, I had a lot of guys asking me, you got any plans for it? I know the scale's still operating over there, so you got that, but
yeah,
what else?
We've got some tentative plans for it. You know, there are a lot of folks that have opinions.
Of course.
On what we should do.
They're called suggestions.
Suggestions, yeah. And they're not all the same. You know, everyone thinks we need to do this, do that. And,
Right.
you know, there's some different ideas. Right now, we've been busy with other things. I don't want to make excuses for it, but to be specific, we don't have a real plan for it yet.
It's not a priority, I guess, right now. I mean,
No,
it's not.
I mean, it's not hurting anything.
I mean, we got a tarp over the fertilizer building out here. We need priority.
Yeah. So we've greenlit a construction project for a new building out here, a new fertilizer warehouse. We're going to get that built and tear this old one down. And yeah, you're right. A lot bigger priority.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost, I'm sure you've had suggestions of just tearing it down or half of it and having more room out there.
Yeah.
Is a big part of it. But I also know, you know, we got some, I don't know if IT still uses that room over there or not, if there's anything.
Yeah,
I think
we've
they
got
use some of that stuff too. So
there's some cable that runs through there. We need to keep that going right now.
Yeah. So, you know, there's your answer, folks, on the old building. We really don't know. It's not a priority right now.
We'll do something.
We'll do something eventually with it for sure. The other, let's see, that was Ben. He was asking that because he was wanting a place to work out. He thought about using it as a gym, which I'm sure that's been suggested too.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good idea.
It is a good idea, yeah. And then we might have answered this question. This is from Art. Where is Oakley going? Future plans, expansion. Obviously, we aren't just sitting around, but what is the dream for the future?
The dream for the future?
Yeah, that's from Art.
Well, man, my dream, I think Dad's dream, you know, is to keep building the thing, you know, keep doing what we're doing and growing the company. Hopefully, you know, have, you know, next generation come in. I mean, that's everybody's dream, you know. But, you know, my kids are little and other cousins and stuff are little. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
But I think, you know, we're going to stay a family business and
that important,
plugging away.
I mean, that's important to y'all, isn't it, Justin?
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that's huge.
That's gotta mean a whole lot. I mean, you know, I think a lot of my grandpa that's not with us any longer, and I always think about trying to do things like he did it and keep his legacy going, you know, and passing on things that he did. Which, you know, whatever it was little, you know, and passing that along to my kids. So I can only imagine having an operation like this of feeling like, you know, that's being a privately owned company of this size is important and passing it on down. I'm glad to hear that. So I hope that answers your question, Art. And then I had John. He was talking about we're going to have a company party. Now he said he would like to get trucks and trailers and have a big gathering of just not only everybody but like their families and other people. You know, might draw some attention out here to the company party. And we've talked a little bit about that, having a, you know, whether it's a truck show or have a few guys shine their trucks up and come out here on the yard. So. What's the latest on? I know it's early. This is March, and we haven't had a company party. We always do it in October. What's the thoughts on that this year?
My thought is that we're going to have a company party. This Omicron variant seems to have fallen off in a pretty dramatic way, and things are reopening. I think people are learning to live with the virus. And I don't know if I need to be politically correct or whatever, but I think a lot of people are over it.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have a company party. that being said, the last 2 years have been pretty wild, and you never know what kind of curveball is going to be thrown at you. So something could happen to derail that plan, but it looks good today.
Good. You'd think we've seen it all in the last 2 years, and then Russia throws us another curve. But that's good to hear, because a lot of people miss the company party. And
I miss it.
I do too. And for you guys out there that's never been to one of our get-togethers in October, it's just a fantastic opportunity for all of us to get away from the business side of it, and we give out awards to not only truck drivers and owner-operators, but also to employees. We recognize employees all the time. We have a big thing catered, usually fish, but and then we have a big dance afterwards. It's all right here on the North Little Rock yard, and there's families come from everywhere. We have guys come in. We used to have a motorcycle ride the day of. Roger would, the safety guy, would take the motorcycle guys, and they'd go all over Arkansas and then come back that day. And we had guys drive from everywhere on their motorcycle just to do that. So good stuff. That's good. I hope we're able to do it too, and continue on the Oakley party. I remember those days when we actually got on a boat rented a boat out here and went up and down the river. I forgot the name of that river boat.
It was before my time.
That was before your time. Yeah, that was something else. We had to quit that. We might have lost one or two off the boat. I'm not sure. Other than that, family doing good?
My family's doing great, yeah. Kids doing great.
And
6 and 3 now.
There you go, 6 and 3. Wow. Well, they'll be gone before you know it, man. Enjoy those times.
I'm trying to.
They can be a little tiresome, but they enjoy those times. So, any other input? I think you've answered all the questions that we had sent in, and all the ones that I was thinking about. Everything, man, it just looks to be a good year. With trucking, it's a challenge. I mean,
it's a challenge.
It's a challenge right now because finding guys, the overpricing of trucks, the fuel now just makes people not want to buy a truck right now, and it's going to make it a little tougher on trucking. But we're still going to have a good year. We're going to keep at it. But other than that, I guess everything else is looking good on the.
Everything's looking good. It's just trying to find drivers. We're struggling to service the demand that our customer base has right now, and not just on the trucking side, but hiring folks at terminals and boats and all. I mean, it's just tough.
It's everywhere, isn't it?
But it's a good problem, but it's a problem, so we're going to stay after it.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you hanging out with me.
Yeah, same here.
That was good stuff.
Thanks for having me.
Man, 100 episodes.
And I'll say, you kind of brought this up to me before you got started, and we visited a little bit about it. I thought, okay, we'll see how it goes. I was a little bit skeptical. Not bad, a little bit.
Right.
But, man, I look forward to it every week. I always try to pull it up on YouTube if I'm in the office, or listen on Spotify if I'm in the truck. And it's a good product. You've done a great job with it. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you letting us do it. I really do, because I never knew it would do is what it's doing. We're getting a lot of stuff out of it with recruiting and retention, and our owner-operators wanting to listen to it. And I mean, it makes a difference. We've had stuff, in these past 100 episodes, man, we've had DOT officers, Arkansas Trucking Association president, tax advice, safety news. I mean, we've had all kinds of stuff on here. When we run out of stuff, I'll get one of my sons to come in here.
Yeah, there you go.
And talk and let y'all get a little piece of my life growing up with those boys. But it's all good, and I appreciate you letting us do it. And we're looking forward to what's the next one, 200?
I was going to say 5. That might be a while. So, I'll come back. Yeah,
I appreciate it. And I appreciate the insight on stuff that's going on at Oakley. It's very much appreciated. I know our listeners appreciate it too.
Good.
So. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. As always, be sure and subscribe, comment, and like on all those social media platforms. Be sure and check us out every week, every Wednesday. We come out with a new one. So be sure and let us know if you got any questions, comments, or you want to hear something in particular. Other than that, we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening.